What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. We're taking a look at Forspoken here on the Steam Deck, of course, and we're going to take a look at some different performance with the benchmarks and the settings I'm using and kind of getting the most out of the game for me here. Definitely a more playable experience than what I was expecting. Now, when it comes to the game settings, there's a lot we're going to go through really with the different benchmarks, but I'm at 800p here, borderless, 60 FPS, no VSync. Graphics, I'm going to go through all the presets in the benchmark so you can see those, and then we're going to use custom to kind of dial things in for the game after that. So jumping into the benchmarks here, we have low, standard, the high, and then like the ultra. So for all four of the presets here for you guys to check out, see the different performance we're getting, what the graphics look like, the lighting, all that kind of stuff, and what your FPS, CPU, and GPU usage is looking like through these benchmarks as well. And I found this pretty helpful when I started dialing in the game and kind of deciding what I wanted to get out of it. Synthetic benchmarks don't necessarily always give you the full story. They don't always do a great job of mimicking real world gameplay, but in this game I found it to be somewhat useful, and I did want to show some scenes from the benchmark here for you guys. So I'm going to let you finish checking these out, and I'm going to jump back in with you here in just a minute, and we'll go over the custom settings and take a look at how the real world gameplay is going here for me on Forspoken. Alright guys, we're coming up to the end of the benchmark here, and you can get your average FPS, 52, 38, 25, and 20 there. Now going back into the settings, we're going to leave display settings the way that I've already had them here for the benchmarks, as you can see here. But when we go over to graphics, I'm going to use custom. Texture memory, we're going to talk about here in just a minute. FSR quality for me here, off on motion blur and stuff there, and then low for everything else. Now I want to use this spot before we get further into it just to kind of show the difference in FSR. So I'll sit still and we'll settle out here at about 44 FPS. Now, if I turn FSR off, which I would prefer to do if I could, we will lose about 8 FPS, 7 FPS there, and it does make a difference when you get into later areas of the game and maintaining 30 FPS or not sometimes. If we get into combat here with no FSR on, then you'll see quite a few times here we dip below 30 and we do struggle there. So even at a locked, we would have a little bit more trouble, and we're not even deep into the game yet there. Switching over to FSR back on quality here, and we don't ever go below 30 in this same combat scene, and it does help later on in the game as well, as I have tested a lot more since recording this footage and played a few hours, and these settings are working pretty well for me. So definitely kind of shows me what's going on there. Now, moving over to some of the textures of the game, running the game this way does have very low texture quality, and so I upped the texture memory to standard, which will take some of these flat textures here, especially on the stairs and the wood, and kind of beef those up just a little bit and make them look a little better, a little cleaner, especially for our lower resolution. I upped the texture filtering to standard as well. I lost no performance, could still hold 30, and everything just looks a little crisper and a little better. So I'm running it that way as well. But yeah, Forspoken is definitely a playable experience. I'm pretty much keeping it at that 30 FPS, low everything, motion blur and depth of field off, with FSR at quality. But anyways, guys, I hope you found the video useful. Thanks a lot for coming to check it out, as always, and I'll see you guys in the next one.